Hey everyone, how's it going? AZREN here. Hope you guys are doing well. In this video, I want to talk about languages that I am interested in, but that I'm probably never really going to ever go out and learn. Now, the first bunch of languages that I am interested in, but probably will never learn, are African languages. Right, I know there's lots of different languages in Africa, like it's not like everybody speaks one single language, excuse me. But really, any of the African languages, I don't know if I'm ever going to get around to doing it. And the reality for me is that I think the things that are going to influence whether or not I actually go and learn those languages is, first and foremost, it's going to depend how quickly I learn my core 8 languages. Meaning that there's a list of 8 languages: English, French, Spanish, Gujarati, Mandarin, Hindi, Russian, Arabic. Was that 8? I think that was 8. Those 8 languages, I want to make sure that I'm speaking at like a C1, C2 level. And depending on how quickly I achieve that goal, if I achieve it faster than I think, maybe I'll be like, wow, I've got all this time on my hands. Why don't we jump into some of these African languages? Right? I think that's definitely a factor. And the other factor as well, for me personally, is that it depends on if I'm forever passionate about languages, or if my passion for languages ever just finishes one day. It's funny, if you've looked at my life, I kind of wish I vlogged everything in my life. That'd be super cool, number one, to look back on now. But number two, one thing you guys would all know is that for me, my passions and my interests, things like that, often change, right? They've often changed. Now, as I've gotten older, they've changed less frequently, meaning when I was younger, my passions changed very, very, very quickly. As I've gotten older, I've stuck to certain passions for longer periods of time. That being said, if 7 years from now I decide that languages is not really the thing that I want to fully focus on, heck, I might not even go and finish my 8 core languages. I might move on to something completely different. And if that happens, I'll never get to those African languages. Also, in a similar boat are languages that are within the same language families as the languages that I want to learn. So for example, if you look at French, which I already speak very, very well, French has many different languages that are similar to it. It has Portuguese, it has things like, it has even like Romanian, I think, is relatively similar. It's got some different languages that are similar. You look at my Gujarati, there's Hindi, there's Urdu, there's Punjabi, there's all these different northern Indian languages that are very similar to it. And any of those languages that are similar to a language that I already speak or that I definitely plan on learning, again, I don't know if I'm going to get around to doing those. For similar reasons as African languages, it's just kind of like, it feels like it's just for those languages actually, it feels like it's a nice to, like a nice to have, but it doesn't feel like, yeah, I really want to do it. It kind of feels like that extra little cherry on top. It's like you have this really delicious chocolate cake and you have 17 cherries on top, and now those cherries that you're adding are just extra cherries, and you're like, yeah, I could use some extra cherries. I would like extra cherries, but that being said, I don't really need the extra cherries. I might rather go do something completely different and buy another different type of cake altogether. I hope you guys get this analogy. It's a weird analogy, I know, bear with me. But those, any language that is related to a language that I currently speak or I'm planning on learning, I don't know if I'm really ever going to go and learn those languages. I think also, for languages, one thing I'm very interested in, but again, for time reasons, I don't know if I'll ever really dive into it. I would love it if I spoke any kind of language that was very rare. So if you look at a language that maybe only 5,000 people or 10,000 people in the world speak or something like that, I would love to speak it. But again, that is more just more for the ability just to be able to brag and be like, hey, I speak this language called Kambutulabada, which no one in the world speaks except for these 5,000 people which live on some random island out in blah 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 ocean and whatever. It would just be for bragging rights. And the desire to have those bragging rights is not, obviously it's there, but it's not such a strong desire that I'm going to actually dedicate the hours and the time necessary to go learn, those kinds of rare languages, especially because the more rare a language is, the less resources you tend to have. It's harder to find teachers, it's harder to find textbooks, it's harder to actually find resources to learn it. And what gets challenging as well is, for me, as you guys probably know, if you follow me for any period of time, I really enjoy traveling to places that speak whatever language I'm trying to learn, and I like to actually learn that language in the place that that language is spoken. And if you're learning something like Spanish or French or things like that, you've got quite a few options of places to go, and there are programs that you can find online or in your city that will organize trips or help you get things organized to go to those countries or cities. When it comes to rare languages, because they're more rare, it might be harder. I mean, I'm speaking out of not full knowledge here, but my assumption is that it might be harder to actually find opportunities for you to go travel abroad, study abroad, etc. So, any other languages? I mean, I think the other thing as well, something I've, again, this is more for bragging rights, I would love to speak some kind of an invented language, something like Elvish from Lord of the Rings, or something like that. Like, I would love it if I spoke that fluently. That would be so freaking cool. But again, that's just more for bragging rights. It's more for the attention and the love of, wow, AZREN'S so amazing. You know, and obviously, that obviously is a driving factor for me when I make decisions, but again, not such a huge driving factor that I'm going to drop everything and go learn Elvish. But that might be, now that I'm talking this out, maybe I will go learn Elvish. That would be super freaking cool. I would love that. Oh my goodness. But anyway, that is a quick little rant on some languages that I would like to learn, that I'm interested in, but will never probably get around to doing. Let me know in the comments if you have any languages like that. Things you're interested in learning, but probably won't ever do. So, yeah, thanks for watching, and have an awesome rest of your day. See you!